Spider Pig's background. It's 11:11 a.m. for those who can see the time in the corner. Good luck getting back. It sounds like my nephew's losing again. And he's playing. Shouts out to him though. Early in the morning grind.
Summer's end till the winter comes, till gray days turn to yellow ones. I stayed grinding for mine. I tried to tell them once, to travel to the moon, you gotta brave the elements. And battle many goons, you gotta cage the elephants. It's elementary, I speak with a certain eloquence. I smoke hella blunts, a habit I've been developed since I was a young boy playing the silver ball. See them stand, feel them fall, Metallica, kill them all. Living like this is my last moment, but a moment could last forever. Snap a picture in that, colon. Give whatever you going, sip in your glass, hold it up. Hit the side on mine, get the tip in the back, go in. So many days we were sitting low. Better get busy living till the day you giving and then get to go where the sinners go. Pulling the cash and spend it slow, better make it fast, but them should know. Matter no money, yo, it's all expendable. You'll be alright, yeah.
All right, there was a time not too long ago when the hottest trade out there, the most exciting thing out there was legalized marijuana, right? The investments, also potential just for societal impacts. Investors flocked to these stocks, to the ETFs, but there was one major barrier in the United States, and, well, that barrier still remains. My next guest, though, has been at the forefront from the very beginning today. He helped open the stock exchange, MSOS. Let's bring in now CB1 Capital founding partner and CIO, Todd Harrison. Todd, great seeing you, my man.
Charles, good to see you, man.
Oh, boy. I mean, I didn't realize we were just talking. 20 years has gone by, and I've taken my eye off the cannabis trade. You know, it was hot, it was great, it was exciting. Then but just so folks know that there's money being made.
Yep.
2.5 billion in July, almost 17 billion year to date. This is still a major industry, even with the restrictions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Democrats treated this like a photo op, and the Trump administration has treated cannabis like an industry. And he's taking steps to normalize the industry, to allow for banking. We spoke 19 months ago when Trump first came in, and I said promises made, promises kept. He made promises on the campaign trail. We've seen the rescheduling of medical marijuana. A week from now, the final briefs are due for the administrative law judge, the ALJ, for adult use rescheduling. And then we expect banking as well as guidance from the Treasury and the IRS. So all of this is very positive for the sector.
Well, that's the one big hurdle, right? Everyone said if you can do banking, if you can do cross-state banking on this, it's off to the races.
Well, there's a few mismatches right now because the banking system and the ability to custody these stocks, that's why the MSOS at the New York Stock Exchange today was such a big deal. There's a handful of other names that are listed, but you need catalyst and growth and regulatory parity and tax clarity for this trade to really work, and we think that we're going to get that into the midterms.
What about society, particularly young folks? They have rejected alcohol completely. Now, I walk out in the breezeway every day on my way home, and, you know, they're knocking out the weed is there. Like, I'm just wondering, you know, it's distinctive. Like, if they could if it's green lit, even more on a federal level, I start to think about the original optimism, the excitement. That comes back, I think.
Well, I mean, a few things. One, you can't walk around New York with an open container of alcohol. So there are norms that I think are going to come into place with regard to consumption. But to your point, the vice side of this is one facet. There's a medical side and a wellness side and a therapeutic side.
That's what's picking up.
Yes.
That's what's really, really picking up. And you know, you mentioned President Trump and keeping his promises, but Make America Healthy again.
Yep.
You know, it's also playing a major role, I think, with this.
Well, we've seen what he's done with CBD, and we've seen what has proliferated over the last decade with intoxicating hemp. And I say that as a bit of air quotes because hemp is for industrial use cases, cannabis is for intoxication. But there was a bifurcation of that demand for THC over the last decade. So if you kind of look at THC as an alternative to alcohol, it's been up and to the right. The thesis is right, but the regulations have been what has gotten in the way of this trade. And we think those are being unwound. And the Trump administration, listen, give credit where credit's due. They've been very thoughtful. They've been consistent. It's been night and day versus the prior administration.
Let's talk about areas that potentially make some money. Village Farms. This is a European. Is this a European play here?
Well, Village is, we like to say Village, and Mike DiGilio, the CEO, is a retired Navy captain of 30 years. So he likes to say Canada was his first international market, but they have a European footprint that's second to none, and it's just a terrific company and a deep bench. So it's a big position of ours, and it's a company we're involved
The
with.
chart looks phenomenal. It's taken off. It's just broke a key moving average there. When we were talking in a break, Vireo.
Yep.
You're saying this is on the road to becoming the biggest cannabis company in the world.
Yeah, they're quietly consolidating, and this is a company with $1 billion top line revenue, trading at about 3 times EBITDA and less than a half, if not a third, of earnings. So it's super cheap versus its peers. It could triple just to get on par with some of its peers in the cannabis industry, and that's before the adoption from the outside world, the non-endemics.
You've been very patient, and no, you have. But listen, by the way, the psychedelics. I know you watch psychedelics. Some of these psychedelic stocks are up like 500, 600, 700%. You got to be watching those with a little bit of envy, right? I mean, you've been patient. Do you have a timeline right now, a potential timeline?
Well, listen, there's a few things that we think are going to happen into the midterms. Remember, this is something that President Trump campaigned on.
Right.
And the
You have advocates in Congress on this?
Yeah, well, especially when cannabis is rescheduled from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3, which is now in process. We expect a final rule starting next week. After that, it's live. We could hear it any day. We do expect it into the midterms. But importantly, there's a Treasury guidance, an IRS guidance on the tax code, 288 tax code, that we look at. You know, we've been around a while, like FASB 157 was to the great financial crisis. Unless you know what you're looking for, you don't know what you're looking for. But this potentially will vacate back taxes for medical marijuana, which would be billions of dollars off their balance sheet and make the sector investable again.
Wow. Great stuff, Todd.
Thank you.
Great seeing you, my man. All right.
Everybody in New York was calling to get down with Mr. Nice Guy. We met all kinds of customers, like this guy here. He's what we call an enhancement smoker because he thinks that marijuana makes every activity that much better.
Mi casa su casa.
Observe.
You're Scarface, right?
Yeah.
I love Al Pacino, man. Did you ever see Son of a Woman?
Yup.
You ever seen Son of a Woman on weed? That's the way to see it, man. It's just whack.
$60, yo.
That's cool, man. I got it. Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill, man?
Man, I don't know, yo.
Did you ever see the back of a $20 bill on weed? Oh, there's some weird shit in there, man. There's a dude sitting in the bushes, man. Does he have a gun? I don't know, man. I don't know. What? Red team go. Red team go. It's just some weird shit, man.
Man, you fucking crazy, yo.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, man. Hey, yo, wait. Dude, I'm gonna check out the stars later. It's really trippy. Especially on weed, man.
Another breeder, speaking of under stairs, Chris was talking about people under the stairs. Genetics is one of my favorite of all time. Let's just put out some absolute heaters over the years, man. The Ghost OG, or the 4DD times Ghost OG, which was Scooby-Doo. One of my favorite ever. So good. The Bananas is fire. The Widow Cookies. I mean, the Tom Hill Hayes times. East Coast Sour Diesel. Like, the dude had so many, I would say, times crossed with. But it's just, I mean, absolute heaters, dude. The issue is obtaining a lot of these. You know, he's more old school too. He's not as recognized by a lot of people. I feel like it's, when you're looking for crazy flavors, Putz has some of the most dank sour dubs and absolute nightmares that I've had in terms of dank. But finding them is always a nightmare in itself. And I think that's where he's more slept on, because people just don't know where to get them. Now, there's resellers and there's different banks and everything, but going direct, you have to send cash or money orders, and it's just never as easy. It's just like, fuck, dude, I don't want to do all that. You know, and it makes it so you remain under the radar. And I do feel social media, deleting them every other month too, doesn't help when your page constantly gets taken down. it's a little difficult to navigate, and even Discord closing people down for things like that. So like brands that are more obscure oftentimes do have the heat, but how long they're going to be around depends on people being able to find them. So him being a slept on breeder, you know, if you can find him, try to grab some, support the brand. And if you're looking for something really gassy, funky, obnoxiously foul, yes, he has some of that.
I did a search for him real quick, and it does have a nice little AI overview there, but I won't read through that. What I wanted to mention was one of the things mentions, I don't know if this is updated, catalog of 25 different genetics here. And I'm just looking through the list. You already mentioned the Scooby-Doo, sourdough, Motorhead, Killer Sour, Dog Breath, one that I've heard a lot about. Chem Cake.
I didn't know Motorhead was his. Is that his?
Motorhead with 2 capital D's, like HEA, capital D, capital D. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got that 4DD in there, which is a Chem Dog back cross. So just crazy funk on with
nasty.
funk.
Nasty.
Yeah,
I gotta get my hands on that.
That's another one. Yeah, another one that I haven't grown out. That, man, you're making me want to pick some up and grow them out.
And I bet you could still for a reasonable price too. These are breeders that haven't.
There's no $42 beans with a lot of these guys. You know, like
there's nothing. It's just so affordable.
It's just about not knowing them. This is the same thing of any case. Like when someone's like, bro, you went to this restaurant? That's a Midge restaurant. It's like, well, I didn't know. Well, oh, you got to know the spots. And it's the same, I feel like, with seeds, you know, with being able to find the right breeder is the right chef. Yes, chef. You know, and a lot of chefs are not Gordon Ramsay caliber. Not, you know what I'm saying? They're not like the top tier. They're just like dudes who can cook at Applebee's. And your steak will be decent. And that's okay. And it's fair. It's a fair price. And I think it's okay too. But some of these guys, their flavor is, I don't know, man. You're not going to find these with other people. There's just something different. And it's just really sharp, unique, dank.
Everybody has a different palate, right? I mean, some breeders are going to strive to produce stuff that is more towards the candy flavor, right? Others are going to go more towards a gas or a funk. And I'm sure there are breeders out there that are kind of doing combination. They have some genetics that are this, some genetics that are that. But yeah, I feel like majority of these breeders, they kind of stick to one palate that they have. And they get a good following that likes that palate as well.
I'm sorry, but today's breeders have only been in the game for 12 months, 18 months. They are only in this because they're chucking. They're following an Instagram hit. They're following colors. This is why the hashtag Bring Back Green Weed exists, because people just took the whole idea of purple weed and just grew it as purple weed. These breeders got in the game, got out of the game. So many have come and so many have gone. The ones that are slept on seem to be the ones that have been here the longest. They've put in the most amount of time. They're tried, they're true, they're tested. Their genetics speak for themselves. They, as we mentioned, may have a particular palate, but it speaks to their style. I don't go to a Stephen King movie expecting a Midnight Shyamalan. They are vastly different. These are the producers. You know, you don't go to you're not going to get a Missy Elliott beat in a Marshall Mathers song, right? But it's the same, difference. So anyways, I just, they're slept on.
He said you ain't gonna get Eminem rapping to a Missy Elliott beat. Yeah, Missy Elliott was produced by Timbaland. Hey, you might get Eminem on a Timbaland beat.
Because I feel as if they're not chasing anything particular other than what's important to the plant, what speaks to them. It's like their dedication is the craft, not the trend.
Very niche, very niche too. I think just like we were saying there is, instead of catering to everybody, their catalog may not even resonate with you at all, or those who are looking for some of the funks or looking for some of the candies or looking for some of the old schools. Like there's certain ones that I feel do bring that to the market, but then there's the jack of all trades, the masters of none, or the dudes who've been around for a long time. So their catalog is 2,500 instead of just 25. So I think that's a big factor as well.
100%. I got one more here that I'll name off. People have seen me grow out some of his genetics on my channel, which is Shadowborn Genetics. A big shout out to him. first really heard about him, he reached out to me on Instagram and he said, "Hey, I used your Toledo G for a cross." He used Pungent Punch. He had a keeper pheno of that and crossed it with my Toledo G. And I was like, man, that sounds amazing. And so, I also got my hands on a whole bunch of different ones of his genetics. I can name off some of them here. So he does have a lot of more known hype type things, and he does crosses on that avenue. So he has like a Mac and Gary cross with Truff Aloha. He's got the Mac and Gary cross with the Strawberry Guava, cross with the Blueberry Muffin. So these are names that a lot of people are probably familiar with. Larry Bird Mints. So this is kind of one of the new ones. Overload. I can't even pronounce that. Polverones. I'm butchering that. I don't know what that is. And then he also has some interesting projects. He's got the Australian Bastard Cannabis cross with Blueberry Muffin. So that's going to be interesting. What comes out of that, right? Banana Bubblegum Freak. He's got Chem Dog cross with Chem Ultra. He's got the Punch and Punch with Chillito G. I think he's been working that Punch and Punch quite a bit. And then, the list goes on. Mac and Gary Double Berry Blast. So he's working with a lot of the same things, but Punch and Punch cross with Truff Aloha. So he's done so many different crosses, and what comes out of it has been fire so far from what I've grown. And this last one right here I'll name off is Grape Gas cross with Trop Cherry number 8. And man, just everything just sounds so good. I know he's quickly building up a following, and he's quickly got a lot of people that are really happy about his things. So I definitely want to mention him because I don't think he's that well known yet. He's another guy that I think for the most part keeps his name under the radar. And so I'll bring it up. And I don't know how good he is with social media as well. That's another thing that we talked about earlier is, hey, the social media aspect is so important to get your name out there. And if you're not on social media, you're not utilizing, people aren't growing your genetics that post them, then, well, you're going to kind of stay underground and you're not going to be real well known. So I wanted to bring up Shadowbone Genetics because that's something I think is an upcoming breeder that's slept on right now.
Good choice. I think it's good. In the same sense, you're like, I think he's trying to keep under the radar. And then you're like, his name, but I'm going to shout him out. It's like, he's right here. He's right here. He's right here. Here he is, guys. There's a link in the
I messed that one up.
That was good.
Shouldn't have said that.
The intention is there. The intention is there. And that's the point. I don't think he's what businessman, if you're trying to sell your genetics, if you're a breeder, I feel like you're not trying to breed in isolation. You're not trying to breed in a vacuum. What is the point of just stockpiling a bunch of genetics for yourself? Maybe that's the case for some. That sounds like a great hoarding thing that I would do for at least a little bit. But I feel like the desire to breed is to spread genetics around the world. You know, I've spoken to guys like Todd McCormick, for example, and Todd is all about spreading genetics. You talk to a guy like Chad Westport, here's some honorary mentions, for example. It's like, these are guys that are making their genetics incredibly affordable. They're all about trying to get genetics to as many corners and crevices of the world as possible, and would love to see or have is that not notoriety, but to have the spread of influence. Now, maybe Chad and Todd are a horrible example of this because they both have influences that are outside my grasp. But it's like they want the world to know that they have these genetics because these breeders want the world to grow their genetics, and I think it's a good thing. It is a good thing. It's just tough that it's social media. It does. It just sucks that it's social media that has to be the avenue to get the quickest clout. Really? If you write a book, well, then people got to buy it and read it and all this other stuff. So being an author is old and it's out. Sorry, Chris. But the reality is
it's done.
Sorry, but no, it's just the conventional methods of getting your credentials out there is tough. Right? Spending 20 years breeding and then just using the genetics as their own doesn't work. You look at Brothers Grimm, for example. And again, I'm trying to say with all due respect, these guys have influence and they have the awareness and they do have social media, but it's just the game changes. And
they're not as known with the new crowd. I think that's the biggest thing. The new growers, they're getting with, the shitty cats and the brands they've never heard. People who've only been doing things for, a couple years or a couple months even. It's because it's what's hot and what they're finding from a search. So it's like, there's a big difference too. Like even with some of the brands that we've listed here, they don't actively seek attention, but they're not hiding. And I think that's where it's tough because Like I'd say for one of mine on my list would be Swing Genetics. That's the homie. He for years was hiding. He didn't want to put this stuff out. This was very underground and very like, you got to know somebody. And now he's put it out there in the world. And like, we literally would pull they would sell out, but we'd only do limited drops per weekend. And then the store's not accessible for the whole rest of the week. And it's like, the obscurity does work. But I think when you have the amount of flavors that he has for the past 10 years of just, growing, breeding, and collecting all the shit that he has, now to release this stuff only makes sense. But it's like, you got flavors that the market may not be hip to, like, lychee candy from 808 that he bred into stuff. Like, that's a flavor that's like, you almost had to wait for the market to get mature to understand the complexity of different candies, not just the runts, not just the sherbs, but like other areas of sweet that could be attracted to people. And there's a lot of breeders who are putting stuff out that almost is ahead of its time in a sense, but then also is grown for hash, let's say. So they're not massive yielders. They may take a little bit longer to flower. And that just isn't always the hottest shit for the new age people. They want some big, beautiful buds that are purple that they can show off and have someone say, hey, let's check out your garden. We're going to do a live stream checking your fucking garden. That's the market right now. The home grow community wants to see their plants on someone's channel. So they want it to be big, beautiful buds. It's not smoke it and let me know how it is. So yeah, Swank's one of mine. I think check him out. He's definitely bringing out some heat. He does a number based thing. So it's 1 through 25, I believe. And the 22, 1 and 2 are some of my favorites, and number 7. But 22 in particular is a sister to ours, to the Frosted Sox, because he's the breeder of Frosted Sox too. But that's Bad Neighbor, which is a GMO cross from 808 Genetics with Frosted Lemonade. So it's a comparable one that we have, because we have Fire Shit, which is a GMO cross also from 808 with Frosted Lemonade. So it's like very similar with a slight variation on it. But yeah, there's some heat in that mix. This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.
I mean, we all know, being on the internet is how I found my seed sponsor. Shout out to, I don't even know if his son owns seed company right now. He's been rocking under his daughter's company name lately. So shout out to Triple B Farms, though. Y'all need to go check out Big Brother Bear. I got my last grow video. It's got him tagged in it, so whatever he updated his name to is on there. So just go to the video list and the play on the profile on the main page, and you'll see it. It's somewhere there. You'll see my sponsored last grow attempt. Shouts out to that.
Hell, back in the 60s, I used to smoke this shit on the street. Cops didn't say nothing. Hell, they was getting high too. Everybody was doing it. It wasn't a thing to do because it was a thing to do, It was a thing to do because it got you high. Can you dig it?
I feel you. That's why I'm doing it. I feel it. Yeah. Man, you cool as shit, mister. I hate to do it, but I gotta charge you. That's $60.
$60?
Yeah.
Man, I remember when a dime bag cost a dime. You know what I mean? You know how much condoms used to cost back in them days?
How much?
I don't know. We never used them.
That's a great video for Spider Pig.
These days, tons of weed strains are named after famous stuff. Rappers, movies, candy, you name it. And usually, the famous thing came first, and the strain just borrowed the name to sound cool. But there's one legendary strain where people always get it backwards. They think the strain came first, and a famous rapper named his album after it. But the truth is, it's actually the complete opposite. This is the story of Chronic. So let's start with the strain itself, because it's a genuine classic, and completely separate from the slang. Chronic is an indica-dominant hybrid that was created back in 1994 by a Dutch breeder known simply as Simon, over at his company Serious Seeds in Amsterdam. And it became famous among growers for pulling off something that was thought to be basically impossible at the time. It produced absolutely enormous yields, tons and tons of weed per plant, while still being genuinely high-quality bud that connoisseurs actually respected. Normally, back then, there was a trade-off you just had to accept. If a strain gave you a huge harvest, the weed itself was usually mediocre. And if the weed was amazing, the harvest was small. Chronic broke that rule. It gave you both, a monster harvest and weed that was actually worth smoking. And the man behind it all had a pretty unusual background for a weed legend. Simon was actually trained as a biologist, and he got deep into cannabis after a trip through Africa in the 1980s.
Imagine that. Scientist goes to Africa, comes back, and develops the chronic. I like where this story's heading. Shouts out to the like, comments, and subscriptions from this video, right? Right.
He brought that careful, scientific, methodical mindset straight to his breeding, and he built his company, Serious Seeds, on a strict philosophy of quality over quantity. Instead of pumping out dozens and dozens of different strains like a lot of seed banks did, he kept his lineup tiny, just a small handful of perfected classics that he stood behind completely. And Chronic was one of them, sitting right alongside his other legend, AK-47. So when a strain came out of Simon's tiny lineup, you knew a lot of care had gone into it. So let's talk about what actually made Chronic special as a strain, beyond just the massive yield. The real magic of it was that rare combination of quantity and quality together in one single plant. For a commercial grower, that was an absolute dream come true. A plant that filled up the entire room, but still produced genuine top-shelf bud you could be proud of. And the flavor was a big part of the appeal too. Because Chronic has this sweet, honey-like, almost floral aroma, kind of like a field of wildflowers, with a light hint of spice underneath. It's a delicate thing, though. Simon always stressed that you had to dry the buds slowly and carefully, because if you rushed that step even a little, that beautiful, subtle scent would vanish completely and never come back. The high matched that vibe too, because it's smooth, mellow, and relaxing, a sociable, easy-going kind of buzz rather than something that flattens you. It was the kind of weed you could actually enjoy and still function on. But now, we get to the real...
Excuse me. They said it was an indica, meaning it's heavy on the couch, but that just means, fat little short leaves? Plant structure is what indica and sativa means. So, now you get to the entourage effect of having a indica with such and such terps, and then you get the couch effect.
Real reason this strain's name is so iconic, and it's got everything to do with Dr. Dre. Because in December of 1992, Dr. Dre released his debut solo album, and he called it The Chronic. Now that album was an absolute earthquake in music. It went multi-platinum. It helped define an entire era of hip-hop. And it was even later added to the Library of Congress for its cultural importance to the country. And blasting out from every speaker and every car stereo, that album took a piece of West Coast slang for top-quality weed, the word chronic, and launched it into the mainstream all over the world. Almost overnight, thanks to Dre, everybody knew that chronic meant the good stuff. It stopped being just a West Coast thing and became a word people used everywhere. And that is exactly where the strain comes in. Because 2 years later, in 1994, when Simon finally finished breeding his incredible new high-yield strain, he needed a good name to give it. And the most common word floating around for the very best weed at that time was chronic, a word Dr. Dre had just made famous worldwide. So Simon figured that was just about the perfect fit, a name that people all over the world already associated with the very best weed around. And so he went ahead and named his new creation Chronic. So to be crystal clear, Dr. Dre did not name the strain, and he had nothing to do with making it. The strain was simply named after the popular slang that his album had turned into a household word. That's the accidental part of the whole thing. Dre made the word famous, and the strain just inherited all that name recognition for free, without either side ever planning it. Now this raises...
Actually played, because hell, he said chronic is California slang for good. Hey, you got some good weed? Yeah, I got some chronic.
Is a fun question. Where did that word chronic even come from in the first place? And there's a famous story about that, one that Snoop Dogg himself has told many times over the years. As the story goes, back in the early 90s, Snoop and Dre got their hands on some incredibly strong weed, and somebody told them it was hydroponic. But supposedly, they got so unbelievably high that they misheard or mangled the word and started calling it chronic instead. It's a great story. The kind of thing that sounds perfect for a stoner legend, and it's the one you'll hear repeated all over the internet. But I want to be honest with you, because that story probably isn't actually true. The people who study slang for a living, the ones who write the actual dictionaries, don't buy the hydroponic explanation. They trace the word chronic to a much simpler place, the regular English word chronic, meaning something severe or extreme. It's the same way words like sick, dope, and killer all became compliments over time. Something so strong and so intense that it's chronic. In fact, the word chronic had already been used as slang connected to heavy drug use going all the way back to the 1940s. So that mishearing story is a fun legend, and honestly, it's not totally impossible. But the real origin is most likely just that classic slang flip, where a word for something extreme quietly becomes a word for something great. I myself am not claiming to know the exact way he came up with the term either. It's just that in my research, I came across two explanations and thought I'd share both sides. But now let's come back to the strain, because there's an honest wrinkle in its story that most people don't know. The chronic you can buy today is actually not genetically identical to the original 1994 version. See, the first chronic was built mostly around the classic strain Northern Lights, and it did not contain any AK-47 at all. But by the end of the 90s, Simon felt his original recipe had gotten a little dated, like it needed to be brought up to modern standards. So he went back and reworked it, and this time, he bred in some of his own famous AK-47. That upgrade gave the strain a more complex, fuller high, and it boosted the strength and the resin, all without losing that signature massive yield and sweet flavor. It was the same strain at heart, just sharper. And that whole decision is actually a really telling window into how Simon operated as a breeder. Because when he improved a strain like that, he didn't rename it and sell it as something new to cash in. He just kept calling it chronic, quietly making the classic better while respecting its legacy. To him, it was still the same chronic, just a refined and updated version of the same classic strain. But don't think it just completely disappeared, because that original pre-90s chronic still lives on today. Its genetics were preserved inside another one of his strains, so that early version was never truly lost. But no matter what, through every version, old and new, one thing stayed true. The quality was always there, and it got noticed early. Because way back at the 1994 Cannabis Cup, the very first year it existed, Chronic took third place in its category. That was the only time Simon ever even entered it into that particular competition, and it still walked away with a trophy, which tells you the quality was there right from the very beginning. And over the years, it went on to collect a whole string of other awards, mostly over in Europe, cementing its reputation as one of the great high-yield classics of its time. So that just leaves us with the question, where does the chronic strain actually stand today, after all these years? Well, it's still one of Serious Seed's flagship strains, a genuine piece of old-school cannabis history that growers still love for that reliable, high-quality harvest. But its real legacy, honestly, comes down to that one word of a name. Because chronic is this genuinely rare case where a single word lives two completely separate lives at the exact same time. It's the name of one specific, legendary strain. And it's also just general slang for any great weed on the planet. And the strain owes that entire double life to a Dr. Dre album that it had absolutely nothing to do with creating. So, at the end of the day, chronic is proof of how powerful a single word can be. It's a genuinely legendary strain in its own right, one that cracked the code of growing huge amounts of top-shelf weed. But it became a household name for one simple reason. It borrowed a word that Dr. Dre had already blasted into the culture, a piece of slang so catchy it went from an album title to the name of the good stuff everywhere. Dre never...
See, that was good follow-up marketing for those that are, business oriented, because that's what that was. It was a straight marketing play. Well, the chronic's already hot. Well, we Californians anyway, so it's our slang. We'll just go ahead and make the weed, because, Dre's only talking about good weed in general. We'll just make a good weed for generals. Ooh, bars.
grew it, never named it, never...
I said bars, I gotta give a shout out to the homie, because, Bars didn't hit 14K subs again. Y'all know how he do. Hey, 14K subs on every channel he make. Appreciate that part of the game. Keep showing him how to hustle. Yeah, work your muscle.
Never endorsed it, and never had the faintest clue he was helping it. He just made the word famous, and the strain quietly rode that wave for the next 30 years and counting.
Because you killing yourself for them. And you won't take one shot at something for you. Think about it. You go, oh, I'm there for the boss. And not even a boss, my supervisor. Think about it. Oh, my supervisor said, well, I don't care about no supervisor. I'm about to own me a company. You talking about a supervisor that's working for them. Think about it. The supervisor controlling you, telling you what to do, and he don't even own a company. He don't know when he gonna get fired. And so my mindset changed. I'm like, man, this man acting like I had to tell my supervisor, bro, what you gonna do when they fire you? He said, you know what, you think you too smart.
So today, we just got another bombshell Supreme Court ruling, and this time out of the North Carolina Supreme Court, and this is shocking, so you better stay tuned. Plus, as we all know, President Trump's rescheduling was historic, moving the good herb from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This had never been done before, and now even states like Louisiana and Georgia are expanding their cannabis laws. But now we go a step further. Top officials say that Trump is finally treating cannabis like an official industry, and regulators suggest that medical herb can be delivered directly to patients with UPS and FedEx, all because of President Trump's rescheduling move.
All right, there was a time not too long ago when the hottest trade out there, the most exciting thing out there was legalized marijuana, right? The investments, also potential just for a society.
That's the second video I've seen this guy in today. Shouts out to him on his news and reporting. You know what I mean? Apparently people fucks with him. Let's look. He kind of got that Bernie Mac slash... Who was that? Butchie from The Wire look going on. Shouts out to a young Butchie. You know what I mean? We're going to bring back The Wire in 2027.
Impacts. Oh boy. I mean, this, I didn't realize we were just talking. 20 years has gone by and I'm taking my eye off the cannabis trade. I just, it was hot. It was great. It was exciting. Then it just, but just so folks know that there's money being made.
Yep.
2.5 billion in July, almost 17 billion year to date. This is still a major industry, even with the restrictions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the Democrats treated this like a photo op, and the Trump administration has treated cannabis like an industry. And he's taking steps to normalize the industry, to allow for banking. We spoke 19 months ago when Trump first came in, and I said promises made, promises kept. He made promises on the campaign trail. We've seen the rescheduling of medical marijuana. A week from now, the final briefs are due for the administrative law judge.
Now, see, this is why I like doing videos, because I already did this video earlier in my video. Now I'm watching Matt's version of the same video that I did earlier. Shit, you gotta love this shit. Can't make this up. I get to review somebody else's review of the same video I've already reviewed in this review. Woo, woo, woo. Slow down, Fred. Slow down. Keeping up with the Kardashians, as they would say.
ALJ for adult use rescheduling, and then we expect banking as well as guidance from the Treasury and the IRS. So all of this is very positive for the sector.
Well, that's the one big hurdle, right? Everyone said if you can do banking, if you can do cross-state banking on this, it's off to the races.
Well, there's a few mismatches right now because the banking system and the ability to custody these stocks, that's why the MSOS at the New York Stock Exchange today was such a big deal. There's a handful of other names that are listed, but you need catalyst and growth and regulatory parity and tax clarity for this trade to really work, and we think that we're going to get that into the midterms.
So as you guys can clearly see, President Trump's rescheduling move is already having ripple effects, and a lot of these effects are tangible. We've discussed many of them on the channel in past episodes, but in particular banking, but even taking it a step further, not just rescheduling medical state licensed cannabis, but also rescheduling adult use recreational cannabis. That's a big move, and that's actually what the administrative law judge in this rescheduling hearing is discussing. The issue up for determination does not only relate to state licensed medical cannabis. In fact, that's already been decided. What we're deciding now is whether adult use recreational cannabis should also be moved from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. And Shah Dales from the Dales Report gives us a timeline as to when we can expect that to happen. Check it out.
So here's how the process is expected to unfold. Monday, August 17th, the filing briefs are due. The ALJ begins drafting his recommended decision. And again, there's no official timeline for when.
Dang, that's two sources that we also commonly share. Am I mad that I'm using the same content that they use? Nah, because I use their content too. So, god damn it, we on point with this. We on point. They let you know we going somewhere.
That recommendation will be released. Then the exceptions period, it follows, normally several weeks, but rumored to be expedited. Then after that, the DEA enters its fixed 30-day final order window. At the end of the 30-day period, the DEA issues its final decision. So yeah, here we go. So that would place a final rescheduling decision by October, everyone. So again, these are part of the timelines.
So potentially as early as October 2026, we can have a final decision when it comes to rescheduling, and not just rescheduling of medical state licensed cannabis, but rescheduling of adult use recreational cannabis. Now, tied into all that, we're also seeing lots of benefits that could come out of this whole thing, as according to this report, medical herb can be delivered in the mail by USPS under President Trump's rescheduling move, and that's according to Georgia officials. Georgia regulators are proposing new rules that will allow medical herb to be delivered directly to patients, including via the USPS and private carriers like FedEx and UPS. And according to officials with the Georgia Access to Medical Cannabis Commission, this change is only made possible by the Trump administration's move to reclassify medical cannabis, which effectively federally legalizes it. So even in a typically prohibition state like Georgia, they're taking steps to expand their programs, and a lot of residents can now get benefits from that expansion. And again, it's all because of President Trump's rescheduling move.
Georgia's medical cannabis program is expanding and rapidly, just a month after new laws made all of this easier. The state medical cannabis registry jumped from around 36,700 on July 1st to more than 45,000 as of last Wednesday. That is a 23% surge. The new law that took effect on July 1 adds more qualifying conditions, allows for vaping, and changes the THC potency cap.
So states like Louisiana, which we reported on already, but as well as Georgia, are expanding their medical programs. So many Georgia patients are signing up for the expanded medical program that officials are literally having trouble processing them all.
All new tonight at 6, we are 3 weeks into Georgia's expanded medical cannabis program, and tonight we are looking into the impact of the new law.
Yeah, we're talking about the Putting Georgia Patients First Act. It gives patients access to more medical cannabis products and broadens who actually qualifies for treatment.
11 Alive's Gilat Malamed joining us live with a look at new numbers from the state here.
According to numbers I received from the State Department of Health, about 4,700 Georgians registered to become new medical cannabis patients since the program expanded. That is more than 10% of the total number of patients in the program. And a local dispensary I spoke to says it's seeing that uptick too.
The comfy is the flower that we're able to sell.
Able to sell as of July 1st.
July 1st was a game changer for our industry here in Georgia.
The day the Putting Georgia Patients First Act went into effect, expanding who qualifies for medical cannabis and the types of products licensed dispensaries like Fine Fettle and Decatur can sell. Fine Fettle President Judson Hill says they can sell full-strength medical cannabis and vapes as opposed to just THC oil.
These inhalable products allow them to have that relief immediately, where an oil-based product has to go through your digestive system, which could take 30 minutes to an hour to kick in. So it really was just not as helpful as they needed.
Hill says he's seeing a big demand for the newly legalized products, with about triple the number of customers this month.
July 1st was by far our busiest day. We had folks lined up an hour before we opened our doors.
Statewide, the Department of Health is reporting more than twice the number of new patient registries in the first 3 weeks since the program expanded, compared to the number of new patients registered in the prior 3 weeks.
So as more states expand their medical programs, more folks are signing up. And it makes sense because a lot of folks are seeking out these natural alternatives to dangerous opioids and prescription drugs. But not all states are moving in this direction, because according to new reporting, a Supreme Court decision out of North Carolina just dropped, which can literally change everything. And I'm going to show you guys exactly what's happening with that. But before we do, just a quick reminder, if you're getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support us further, join the ICANN VIP Bean Club or cop some merch from our merch store. We got that new ICANN hoodie. Check it out. Use that code ICANNTHC and grab it now. And if you happen to be a home gardener, try the ICANN Organics. Use the code LEGAL. It works on the bundle and that new fem line. And that new fem line may not be around long, especially once that seed ban hits in November. So use that code LEGAL and grab it now.
It's also important to be able to note that marijuana is still illegal in North Carolina, but stores can sell certain amounts of hemp.
As the debate over legalizing the drug heats up in the Tar Heel state, it's calling another policy into question. Is the smell of marijuana enough to force for police to search a car? A petition recently filed to the state Supreme Court says otherwise. Our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, joins us now. So, Khalif, what exactly is this petition challenging?
It's our fundamental constitutional right. So let's start there.
Yeah, shout out to the homie, start early. You know, he out there in North Carolina. He be asking me about the weed out there all the damn time. I'll be like, shit, I do got some info on that. Let me go ahead and get into my bag for you and let you know what you should be doing. Yeah, I told him to find him a hemp grower and try to get in with them. Yeah, hemp grower. Direct sales. Boom, there you go. Yeah, he can do some marketing.
Fourth Amendment, you are protected from unlawful searches and seizures. And so if ever you are stopped or someone is attempting to stop you, they're going to need a warrant to do that, unless there's a couple of things that can happen, specifically unless their officer has probable cause to stop you. So that is exactly what's happening here. In this case, the officer said that he smelled marijuana, and additionally, he smelled marijuana and some type of scent that was covering the smell of marijuana. The individual was convicted for carrying a firearm by a felon and also having marijuana in the vehicle. And then they've appealed it. The Court of Appeals said that, yes, they noted that the smell was enough for probable cause. And the court also noted that the secondary scent was something that the court took into consideration for the probable cause, something that was never seen before. So this case is now being challenged to the Supreme Court to see if that is enough on a couple of grounds. Specifically, hemp being legal since 2015 smells exactly the same as marijuana. So with the nose, now has the law kind of got bypassed as they passed this marijuana hemp legalization in 2015. Smell before has always been something that's been listed, but now if it smells the same as something else that's legal, how can you now be found probable cause for that? That is what the problem is. That's the crux of the case. It could be something else, or it could be something legal. And so if you're doing something legal, now the officers don't have a legal right to stop you. They don't have a legal right to search you. And so relying on the scent only of marijuana is probably.
Oh, officer, I hit a skunk earlier. You know, I drive dark highways at night, so that's just gonna be my excuse. Man, I hit a skunk and smell ain't came out the damn filter. I didn't change the filter, but the filter housing needs to be replaced. Can you help me out, bro?
Problematic. Relying on the scent only in accompanied with a scent cover is also problematic, and that's what this complaint is saying.
Okay, so I have to ask you, so this petition says that the ruling gives police kind of a workaround, allowing them to execute a warrantless traffic search.
So you guys can already see how and why this issue is so problematic. Using the smell as probable cause to search your car, it raises issues about unconstitutionality, in particular with Amendment 4 of the Constitution. But the truth is, as more states move the complete opposite direction, they legalize and they remove smell as probable cause for police to search your car. North Carolina, they say no, and they're actually taking it a step further. If your car smells like herb and you use something like perfume to try to mask it, or just an air freshener to try to remove that smell, and police run into you, then you can find yourself in serious hot water.
So talk to us exactly about what that means so people can really understand what that workaround is.
Again, if you don't have a search warrant, and I used to issue search warrants as a chief magistrate, an officer would come to me and they would identify the probable cause which they believe would be a reason that they needed to search you, and I would grant them, and then they would go and search you. But in every other circumstance, when they don't have a search warrant, they have to have probable cause to stop you. And so what this case and what this petition is saying is that you don't have a search warrant and you don't have probable cause, but now you're finding a way to go around that by saying, I don't really smell marijuana, but even if I don't smell marijuana, I smell a high smell of perfume or cologne that's attempting to mask the marijuana smell. So now that's giving me enough for probable cause. And if I can quickly help folks understand the standard, because probable cause is established, it is that
they'll let you know officers ain't really getting no fucking cat, because, you know, females always spray themselves like 1,000 times anyways. I just had this crazy chick in the car. That's why you smell all this overly overwhelming sense of perfume or something that you would think would be trying to cover up weed. Nah, I had a chick in the car, sir. Yeah, I actually get those. Yeah, she sprayed herself down like 15 times when she got in the car, and then before she got back out. Like, okay, smell good, woman. I appreciate that.
you can point to facts or circumstances that a reasonable person will believe that a crime has occurred or that that person has committed the crime. So that's pretty clear. Saying that I smell like a lot of cologne is not enough.
Makes you wonder if it could have further reaching impacts that I wish we could get into today.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is a long conversation, but we're out of time. But yeah.
And far-reaching consequences are exactly what we can expect, as according to this, the North Carolina police can now search based on the smell of cannabis, according to the recent Supreme Court ruling. This case went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and this is what they decided. Now, this case raises serious issues, because over in North Carolina, hemp THC is fully legal, and it's been that way for quite some time now. And here's the kicker: because the smell of weed and hemp are identical, the question arises, how can that smell factor into a law enforcement officer's determination of when probable cause exists? How can they distinguish between legal hemp and illegal cannabis? And the truth is, it'll be very difficult to. So this whole thing smells like a Fourth Amendment issue.
Now time for us to connect the dots. That's when we make the news make sense. A plant that's legal in North Carolina is landing some people in jail. And now a new court ruling gives police even more power to make those arrests.
Smokable hemp is legal in North Carolina, but that doesn't mean marijuana is. And a new court ruling just blurred the line even more. Let's connect the dots. Hemp and marijuana look and smell the same, but hemp doesn't get you high. That's made it hard for police to tell the difference. Still, people have been arrested based on smell alone, even if they were carrying legal hemp. Now, North Carolina's Court of Appeals says officers don't need any proof, just the smell is enough to justify a search. That has some defense attorneys and business owners sounding the alarm, warning it could lead to more racial profiling and false arrests. It's also a problem in court. Even the state crime lab admits it still can't tell hemp from marijuana. But juries are still convicting and prosecutors are still charging. Critics say this opens the door for abuse and puts innocent people at risk.
So putting innocent people at risk, is that really what we want? Putting grandparents, veterans, older folks, medical patients, throwing them in jail for simple THC possession, is that really what we want? Because that's what we're seeing happening right now over in Texas. And just recently I brought you guys all the updates when it comes to what's happening in Texas. And according to this, Texas Democrats have called out Paxton for dodging cannabis question, as Joe Rogan warns that the THC ban can turn the state of Texas blue. Now here's Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General. He's been against legalization. He's also been pushing for the hemp ban. And recently he was asked what are his thoughts on the state's THC ban. And he acted as if he didn't know anything. He said, I don't know, I'm not sure. Let's talk about this later.
I sure appreciate it. Yes, sir. And one more question. What's your thoughts on the state's THC ban? I don't know the details of it, but let's talk later. Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Vote that piece police this shit out of there immediately. Yes, I gave my opinion on a person because I just heard what he said. So therefore, hey, y'all people down in Texas, y'all keep voting for that piece of shit. Y'all won't be seeing popcorn no time soon. Shouts out to y'all. Top of my ban list. That's what's getting banned. Trips to Texas.
It's this weird north-south divide.
It's dumb.
It's stupid.
Well, it's also they've done the THC thing. Here's what Texas doesn't understand. You will fuck this place up, and you will turn the whole thing blue. Kids will turn on you. If you tell them they can't smoke weed, they know weed's not killing anybody.
Which one's blue?
This place.
No.
Oh, what's blue? Democrat.
Oh.
Red is Republican.
Shut up. Come on.
How do you not remember that?
Which one's donkey?
He's pretending he lives in England now.
Which one's donkey?
He's like Alec Baldwin's wife. He's like Alec Baldwin's wife.
Now, for me, this is an issue which can definitely sway lots of voters. It may not be the biggest issue out there, but it is a big one. And according to recent reporting from SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, their CEO, Kevin Sabet, he actually spoke on this very issue. And this is what he had to say. Listen.
That's just, I wanted to clear that up. And in other sort of news about Texas, in addition, hearing Joe Rogan say, "Oh, this is terrible for Republicans in Texas because people are going to vote on this, and they're going to vote against candidates who are anti-marijuana." There's no evidence anywhere that people vote on this issue. This is not a top-tier issue at all. It's just talking points from somebody who's obviously extremely pro-weed, and it's part of his daily lifestyle. So just these narratives don't fit and don't work. And as I was walking around enjoying coffee and talking to people about my shirt, who many of them support, most people said they support, I just wanted to mention those issues. Thanks.
Now, personally, this whole dynamic is really interesting because at the federal level, the Democrats have had so much time to legalize, but they've not really done anything. But yet, President Trump has come in and we've seen federal rescheduling, we've seen rescheduling of medical cannabis, and even...
I like that shirt, though, because it says, what, illegal weed equals federal greed? Hey, that guy's a Class A hater. Shouts out to the hater convention of 2026 because he straight goes as a top candidate.
Potentially may see adult use recreational cannabis also be rescheduled, and the ripple effects from that have been tremendous. But let me know what you guys think about that. Think about everything that we've discussed in today's video. Drop your thoughts and concerns in the comment section down below. Now, in our next video, there's a crazy situation where THC tests are landing new parents on child abuse registries. It's absolutely crazy. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's coming up right now.
Shouts out to the haters.
Understand niggas is gonna hate you regardless. Get that out of your head, that fantasy world where niggas ain't hating on you. You gotta be grateful. You need haters. What the fuck is you complaining about? What the fuck do you think a hater's job is? To fucking hate. So let them motherfuckers do their goddamn job.
Time, I wanna smell money or smell blood. It's your choice.
Listen, I want you to hear something.
I don't want to hear shit.
You call that a minute?
You don't even have to say nothing. I already know. I know. I can't help it, man. Don't give me no gun, man. You know what I'm gonna do.
When y'all are saying that y'all used to drink from the hose, were sinks not an option?
For fuck's sake. Who's gonna tell him? You want me to tell him? I'll tell him. We weren't allowed in the house. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Our childhood was like one never-ending episode of that TV show Survivor, okay? We are indestructible. We've never sat in car seats. Nobody's ever given us swimming lessons. We've all been either shot with a BB gun or stabbed with a fucking jart. The television stations had to make a commercial reminding our parents that they had kids. I shit you not. Every night on the 10 p.m. news, a voice would come on and say, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?" To remind our parents that they had fucking kids. So, no, sir, shirtless with the beanie, sinks were not an option.
said that.
So where did the
20 times.
hate come from?
Because you told on some brothers. You told on some black men, and you're a Mexican probably.
Who killed Nipsey? A
For
brother.
sure.
Who killed Vaughn? A brother. Who killed P&B Rock? A brother. Who killed Pop Smoke? A brother. Who killed Biggie? A brother. Who killed Tupac? A brother. Who killed Slim 400? A brother. Who killed?
Bro, they want to be Martin Luther
Down.
6ix9ine be trying to tell y'all.
Hey everyone, welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. I am your host, Shad Dales, and the big question here today, could Texas turn blue? That's what some people are asking after a new development in a story first reported by Marijuana Moment, and it's all tied to the growing national spotlight on hemp and cannabis policy in the state of Texas. So let's get into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5. Okay, so here's the latest. Texas Democrat James Tellerico is once again calling out Republican Senate candidate and current Attorney General Ken Paxton. This time, it's over Paxton dodging a direct question about the state's THC ban. A video was posted to X and it shows Paxton being asked, quote, "What are your thoughts on the state's THC ban?" End quote. Guess what? He doesn't answer, no comment, no clarification, just silence. And that moment has now become part of a much bigger conversation. It's amazing what you can say by saying nothing at all. So if you've been following our coverage, you'll remember last Friday we did a story where Tellerico claimed Paxton was scaling donor dollars to suppress cannabis or hemp. So that allegation alone, it raised a lot of eyebrows across the industry. It suggested that cannabis policy in Texas might be influenced by political fundraising, a claim Paxton's office has not publicly addressed. So now with this new clip circulating, Tellerico is now doubling down. He's using Paxton's refusal to answer the THC question as further evidence that cannabis policy in Texas is being shaped behind closed doors. So whether people agree or disagree with that interpretation, it's clear this issue is not going away. Add to that, there's now Joe Rogan, who lives in Texas and is one of the largest platforms in the country. He issued a warning to Republicans. Pushing too aggressively to crack down on THC products could actually turn Texas blue. So again, whether people agree or disagree, the fact that a national figure is weighing in, it shows how mainstream this issue is becoming more and more. So cannabis is now part of the political conversation in a state that rarely puts it on the main stage. And that alone tells you how big this momentum is building. But here's the reality, everyone. Cannabis is not going away anywhere in Texas. It's not fading. It's not being pushed to the margins. It's now a topic candidates are being pressed on publicly, and that tells you everything about where this industry stands in 2026. So this has definitely reached a point now where lawmakers can no longer avoid this in any way. And honestly, we've known this for a while. When THC access becomes a statewide debate, when national voices then weigh in, and when voters start paying closer attention, you're looking right now at a moment where cannabis crosses into a new phase, which we are very well aware of here in 2026. So let's now look at why this matters. Well, Texas has one of the largest consumer bases in the country. Even with restrictive laws, THC products right now, whether hemp-derived or otherwise, are widely accessible. We all know the story about accessibility being kind of the gray zone, but that accessibility has created a market that lawmakers can't ignore, especially when enforcement, regulation, and consumer safety are all being questioned right now at the same time. So Paxton's silence in that video, it isn't just a political moment, it's a reflection of how complicated the THC landscape has become in Texas. The state's hemp market exploded after the 2018 Farm Bill. We look at Delta 8, Delta 9, and other hemp-derived cannabinoids. They became widely available. And now, with calls for bans, restrictions, and enforcement changes, the industry right now is caught in the middle of a political tug of war. So Tellerico's latest comments, they're going to add another layer as well. If he continues to frame cannabis policy as something influenced by donor dollars, that narrative is going to gain a lot of traction, especially amongst younger voters and industry stakeholders who are already skeptical of how cannabis laws are being put together right now. And when you add in Joe Rogan's comments, that adds yet another layer. When someone with this reach says THC restrictions could shift political outcomes, guess what? It forces lawmakers to think twice about how they approach this issue altogether. It's not going away. And that's why right now this all matters, everyone. Texas is becoming a case study in how cannabis, legal or illegal, hemp-derived or otherwise, it definitely intersects with politics, with culture, and more importantly, public opinion. It's not just about THC bans, it's about how states respond when consumer demand outpaces regulation. And it's how lawmakers right now need to navigate in an industry that's evolving faster than policy. And it's also about how public pressure can really change the conversation because, yes, that public pressure is becoming real. So again, this story continues to develop and we will watch this closely. So make sure you stay connected with us here at TDR. What did you all think of that video with Ken Paxton? Drop your comments below. Is he hiding something? Love to get your feedback. So drop those comments below and keep this conversation going. And like I always say, like, subscribe, and share this video with your network here at TDR. All right, everyone. Thanks again for checking in. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone.
Ooh, shiny. Give that back. I saw it first. No, you didn't. I said give it back. Make me. But they are nothing compared to me. Prepare to die.
Dad? You all know this game, right?
Love it.
Who wants to be the boss?
Ladies first. Hey, Greenwood. What's the secret to good comedy? Timing. And what's courage? Grace under pressure. And who's the boss? I'm the boss.
I believe you are, Jerome. I believe you are.
Arigato, sensei.
White House in the bathroom.
Under whose presidency?
You know.
Oh yeah, I bet. I was hoping that it was him. I was hoping it was him. We ain't gonna say
Man,
what
that's
happened.
some
We
real
know he
nigga
probably
shit.
crept in there.
Hold on, but was it relaxed or was you like, man, I'm gonna do but what they say?
See if the Secret Service can really keep a secret.
It was Herbie Hancock was getting inducted into the Kennedy Center that night. So I performed. Michelle Obama, all of them up there, they rocking to the music. Well, say ho, I'm making them do shit that niggas don't normally do at this event. Say ho, say biatch. They up there rocking. So afterwards, we got dinner.
Look, I see Nancy Pelosi. Biatch!
Nigga, is that the Senate? They got that Bubba Rock out there.
You do bitches ain't shit.
Look, so later on they do a dinner at the house, right? So it's only one nigga in there with me, Chris Spencer. So yeah, we in that motherfucker, right? And he like, nigga, how you get? I'm like, nigga, how you get in, nigga? So we meet Obama and shit. Well, what? So I'm moving around. I'm like, nigga, I'm in the White House now. I need to move around, nigga. Fuck all that. I move around to the kitchen. I'm like, where the butler at? And the butler come out the back. It's a nigga too. I'm like, what's up, cuz? I'm like, where the bathroom at? Come, I'm trying to woo woo. He said, you trying to do number one, number two? I said, nigga, I'm trying to woo woo.
Number three, nigga. Number three.
Where is that, nigga? That nigga said, 2 doors down that way. Right. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, the food smell gonna drown it. I said, this shit here loud, nigga. So I went in the bathroom, pulled it out my sock, cause you know Secret Service and patted the nigga down 100 times, but they didn't feel that thing down there. Pull him on out. Yeah.
Today, but y'all know to go check out his original content if that's what you're into. I appreciate them for trying to pull him up for me, but we'll be up out of here today. Let's see,